You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's 24 Live Another Day After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's 24 Live Another Day After Show.
Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it!
Awesome. We had to start off on the right note this week. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our second show for AFTERBUZZ 24 Live Another Day. How you doing? My name is Nando Velasquez. I am joined directly to my left by Mr. Jeff Masters.
Yo, 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 I'm Jeff. Remasters.
There we go.
Plural. Thank you.
And just doing the little scratching noises is Danny Hoyt.
Hi, I'm Danny Hoyt. I'm
Yeah.
scratching, making noises.
And he's scratching. And with the scratchy voice, we got Roxy Striar.
Good to be here. Hi, guys.
I just came up with that one.
It's okay.
So.
Nando, how are you?
I'm doing great. I am
Good.
really
question.
happy after this episode, to be honest with you, because I did not realize how excited I was to see 24 come back even after a week. And with all of the shows I do here at AFTERBUZZ, I was really looking forward to this one the most.
Oh, I like to hear it. It's mainly because of us, isn't it?
It's because of you, and I think the fans seem to agree. We've done a really good job so far, at least. Well, I don't want to say we've done a good job, because we've been rating pretty high on iTunes.
Hey, let's not jinx it.
So,
I think what he meant to say was, thank you guys so much. You've been such amazing fans that we
Yeah.
got
Really,
to #1
yeah.
on iTunes this week for AFTERBUZZ, which was
Yeah.
incredible. You guys kicked butt, so thank you.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. And it was #3 for all of TV podcasts.
Number two.
Number 2.
Deuces.
Shorter.
NPR beating us out. So
I think we can take that.
I think we can take that. NPR's pretty educated. Very
Yeah,
very
but on the real,
educated.
thank you guys for tuning in, and a lot of you guys tweeted us and commented and
Yeah.
feedback, and we love it. Thank you.
Anyway,
Let's do the thing.
let's do this thing. Let's get on with that. We'll talk a little about iTunes later, but let's start off right where the last week left off, which was Jack was hunting Derek Yates. And we got to see a very nasty murder by his Russian prostitute.
I had a dream
friend.
about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, we won't go there.
Were you stabbing with the scissors? Or
I
were
was
you being...
stabbed.
Oh, you were stabbed.
I won't say who stabbed me.
Okay. Pretty creepy. But anyway, so Simone, who ends up being, instead of being this hot Russian blonde chick, ends up being this hot...
Equally hot redheaded chick with beautiful eyes, might I add.
Oh my God, gorgeous eyes.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying they're not beautiful eyes. I just can't read her. There's so many like shots of just her looking away
But
with like a
I'm just
distant
getting
lost.
I'm getting lost in her eyes.
I
That's
can
what-
read her beauty if her mouth, like her mouth is shut. She's
But
gorgeous.
I can't tell like what she's thinking.
I think that's the whole point of her,
Yeah.
though. We're supposed to be taken by the mystery of it all. Yeah, she's absolutely beautiful. Creepy. Definitely creepy. But, you know, sometimes that turns guys on.
Equally as creepy as her mom.
No.
Margot or Simone? Who's creepier?
Oh,
Definitely
Margot,
Margot.
10 times.
Well, we'll get into Margot a little bit later because there was a little creepy moment that Margot had
Man.
toward the end of that end of this episode. But Simone, I don't know. I don't know if she's really that creepy, other than the fact that she stabs people in urinals
And herself.
Well, that was really inventive. But anyway.
And slightly unnecessary. We'll get there.
We'll get
Right.
there.
Okay.
But anyway, so Jack hunts down Simone and Derek Yates, looking for Derek Yates over at the Vauxhall Griffin Inn, and figures out they're in the bathroom, sees the pints, sees the clothes on the side, and I guess he recognized him to Derek. Goes in there, spots Derek dead. And luckily for him,
He's
he's
easy to spot.
He's easy to spot. Just the only guy lying down there in a public bathroom, completely dead, and
With a hole in the side of his head.
yeah,
That
with
we know of. You never know. You didn't check the stalls for the rest of the dead
did
men.
check the
He checked
stalls.
the oon stall, the lone stall.
It was a joke, guys. Give it to me.
You have not been in that many men's restrooms, apparently.
That's a good thing.
That's a good thing, actually.
I pride myself.
We got a little chuckle from Roya back there.
Yes, from our producer Roya. Anyway, so Jack pretty much is on the hunt now for Simone. He figures out that Simone had a wig. He spots it outside, and they follow her over to the train station, to the metro. And in typical Jack Bauer fashion with Chloe, they figure out where the next stop is for the train. It's 4 minutes away at Waterloo, and Jack's like, "Get there in 3." So Jack races over there. Classic move going into the subway, typical 24 style. Ends up getting into the car as the doors close, spots Simone, and unfortunately Simone spots him. And we've seen this before, but I really did like this take. It really showed more desperation that she actually cuts herself, because usually the girl, you've seen it in other shows. I've seen it recently, I think in Blacklist or Following actually, where a guy's going after a girl and the girl screams, "Oh my God, he's assaulting me," or "Oh my God, I'm this poor innocent girl." But this time she actually just cuts herself and goes the extra mile and bloodies her face with
unnecessary,
her own blood.
in my opinion. You don't need to do that.
You don't think so?
No, she could have screamed rape or screamed something else, or "This guy's after me." She could have done the exact same scenario without the blood on her face, and I think the same thing would have happened. Like, she could have pointed and been like, "Oh my God, that guy just assaulted me or sexually assaulted me," or whatever, on the train, and the same guys would have had the same reaction. I don't think the blood was necessary.
I agree partially. I think a couple of things were confusing here. Number one, later on when she's talking to Margot, she says that she didn't know who this American man was, but to me it seemed like she recognized Jack.
She did, right away.
Well, she recognized him from when he got into the complex, into Basher's place, and they were on the run.
But it seems to me like, she would have been able to say that to Margot then. This is where he got me from.
I don't think she wanted to tip off that she was a little bit careless. You know
absolutely.
what I mean? And even little things, like she was careless. She left her wig on the top of the dumpster. If you're going to hide a wig, everybody knows you hide your wig on the bottom of the dumpster, underneath some trash.
Well, of course.
When you're in a rush, you put it on the top.
When you're in a rush, you can get away
I'm
with
joking,
that.
but I do want to backtrack on something that we skipped over that I noticed, and I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but it was so cool to see how quickly Jack and Chloe meshed again.
Yeah.
When it was go time, when it was time to make something happen, to find somebody, to make a move, when time was of the essence,
absolutely,
they clicked on all. They were firing on all cylinders.
I loved it. Just had a very. It was very familiar.
It was very familiar. That's a great word for it. It was. He jumped in the car. I mean, they were communicating. They were spot on.
The only thing that was weird for me, and it's going to sound really stupid,
What?
the only thing that was weird was when I noticed in the car that Chloe was on the wrong side driving.
That, and the other thing I noticed is she's holding a cell phone to her ear, and Jack has a comm unit. Like, there was a couple little gaps where I feel like,
why is that wrong?
because Chloe should have one in her ear too, so she has both hands free to type.
Oh, I see.
It was a little dated for what they're doing.
I don't know if it's dated though, because this is like DIY Chloe. She doesn't have like the massive budget and technology.
True, but she's got Adrian Cross,
That's true.
who has like a bunker full of everything.
So you think maybe she would, but Jack, being used to being a field agent, is probably more prepared for going on the fly.
What's in Jack's bag of goodies that we see him drop later, by the way?
I don't know.
Those were documents that I guess that was part of his ruse to get into the embassy. He was delivering documents.
Well, okay, we can talk about that.
We can talk about that
But
when we
he
get
used
to
to
it.
keep guns in there.
Well, we know that he doesn't have a
used to
gun in
keep
there,
backup
though.
ammunition
Otherwise,
and
We can
stuff,
get
so-
into that, but he's going into the U.S. Embassy because he's trying to get to President Heller. So I don't think bringing guns, not with his security clearance, I think bringing guns would have flagged him down. That's why he did what he did.
right? Had he had guns, then
Yeah.
he wouldn't have been able to.
But we'll get there. We'll get there toward the end. So
Fair.
let's move on. So anyway, so Jack. So here's the thing I want to say. I want to say that what Simone did, I thought was great because it's 24 and everything is heightened in 24. So the stakes have got to be higher. So I actually have no problem. I applaud the writers for coming up with this idea. I applaud the whole thing about her
Talking about
actually
the blood on her
cutting
face.
her leg.
Yeah, cutting her leg to put blood on her face because the stakes are high. She's got these information to set off drones that'll cause an international incident, and she obviously feels like she's willing to do anything, even cut herself.
Well, and it gives us as the viewer a look into how, like, into her mindset as her character. It gives us an idea of how far she's willing to go.
Yeah.
And maybe she wouldn't be, but she knows how important it is to Margot, and maybe she's following, this controlling Margot. So it gives us an idea of really like how serious it is on their end.
Right, the stakes are high. You cannot mess up. You cannot get caught. This is what she's willing to do.
Whatever
That's
it
definitely
takes.
what they're trying to prove. But I still think, maybe a little poke to your finger and you could have gotten that. She's
Same amount of
gashed her
blood.
whole-
Just a little. You're afraid of needles, aren't you? Just a little poke, like the little, like
No,
doctor.
Jeff.
I was fine with the needle.
Jeff, for everyone's sake, just so you guys know, was screaming at any sight of blood. Or
I thought that was me.
Use the word
No, no.
screaming.
That was Jeff. You did a high kick.
it was a high kick scream and then a sorry.
Oh yeah, you gotta include that
Well,
part.
the writers wrote that in because they wouldn't give like the audience a visceral reaction.
Yeah.
And I definitely felt
You
that.
reacted very viscerally.
You were what they were going for
Yeah,
sure.
I don't like watching people cut other people, and I don't like watching people more than that cut themselves.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I could cut anybody
Well, when
you
you-
want,
when
but I
you
couldn't
put
cut
it like
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought that, you know, if I was going to pull the move she did, I would have poked myself. I would not have gashed open my entire leg.
I'll be honest, I'm not as squeamish as you, but I'm squeamish enough that I don't know if I would cut myself to do that. But again, I think it really shows something for the
not the
character
move.
I
willing
agree.
to do whatever it takes.
But I mean, were
and
you
extremists.
carrying secrets that have access to drones?
I'm
that
not
you wanna-
doing that either. Maybe if I was.
You never know.
Maybe if I was, I would be. But anyway, good on Simone. She gets away. She sneaks some construction worker down there, some maintenance worker, not paying attention. She just walks right
Yeah.
around him, goes underneath this inside this maintenance tunnel, and totally out of sight. Jack's on the hunt for him. Chloe's looking at every exit, either through her laptop or through her, you know,
Right.
just visually looking, and then she spots what looks like a very familiar character. Looks a lot like her husband Morris from that we know from 24, from I believe season 8, and holding well with a little child and somebody else with them. But I think Chloe is focused really on the man and the kid, and she zones out.
And that moment for us, because we didn't know exactly what happened. And in fact, we were talking just before that. We even paused it. Wait, hold on, catch us up. What's the status
Well,
of Morris?
I even
And
said
what's-
I said that guy looked like Morris. Yeah.
yeah. And then we come to find out, you know, what happens. But it was just that moment for us of kind of wondering. We were kind of feeling with her, like, wait, that's a kid. Yeah, wait. Where's Chloe's kid? Where's Morris? And it was kind of
Absolutely.
like everything all built up.
Yeah.
I think it's great that they reminded us of Morris this way, because otherwise,
Yeah.
had we had the conversation with Jack prior to this and then we saw it, it wouldn't have been as moving, but we were feeling it along with her because
Yep.
we were wondering, oh, who is that and what's going on?
I
So
like the way they pulled us in.
Absolutely.
Also, Chloe made such a massive jump from being like this CIA operative, like in control, to this Edward Snowden type character. And so I like once we found that out about her backstory, like yeah, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
such
it's
a
am-
radical
It does. That's
change.
true. It
It's
helps us
amazing
understand her.
because, well, you know, we called her like the Edward Snowden, but really Adrian Cross is the Edward Snowden. I guess she's more
Yeah.
part of the WikiLeaks thing that we didn't make clear last
They're
week.
like the
but-
merry band of like Silicon Valley rejects.
Oh yeah, well, it definitely gives us some more sympathy for Chloe. I mean, it's so funny when you think about Chloe from when she first started at 24, and she was just annoying, you know, uptight,
Quirky, yeah.
character, and hearing this backstory about her husband Morris picking up her son at soccer practice, and then some massive hit and run. Was such a touching story, and the biggest part was
absolutely. The craziest part is that she felt like it was supposed to be for her because
Mm-hmm.
she's usually the one who drove her son to soccer practice. And the reason that she thinks that they're after her is because she knows what happened that day that we saw day 8.
Yeah.
And how Jack escaped and the events that took place that day. And I really felt for Jack in that moment because I obviously I felt for Chloe too, but there's nothing he really could have done to protect
Right.
her. And she never was going to rat him out.
If it was somebody coming after her, would that have been the Russians?
that probably would have been the Russians because they seem to be the ones that want Jack Bauer the most right now. Although I really call
could've
I
been the
call a little
Americans.
shenanigans on that because I think if they wanted her dead, they would have probably found other ways to kill her off.
Yes and no, but I think more of the reason of that, and we can talk about this more in predictions later, was to give us foreshadowing of somebody that might come after Chloe
Right.
earlier,
Oh,
or
yeah.
another arc story for later in the
That's
season.
possible.
We needed to give her motivation, and we needed to,
Yep.
like you're saying, foreshadow the rest of the
And
season.
it does help, and Jeff, you touched on this. It does help for me understand why Chloe went into such a dark place in her life.
Yeah.
You know, it helps us understand because we see her like this, and
She
I
has
think
this
I
heavy
wondered.
goth look.
Very heavy goth look. You can tell she's got a heavier persona. She speaks even darker, and I mean, she always kind of had a little bit of like a confused eyebrow, but it's constant confused eyebrow from Chloe now.
But
so
she seems-
she's got like a really heavy, you know,
She seems a lot more weathered.
Burden.
And we
Yeah,
even
weathered.
said last week we were like noticing she's even a bit more muscular,
Yeah.
like definitely more intense.
maybe she's training for when the Russians come.
Well,
And
also, yeah, go
sorry,
ahead.
just to clarify. So she says, because I know what happened to you the day you disappeared. Yeah.
I know what happened the day you
The day you-
disappeared.
And just to clarify what happened, that's that they let Jack walk away.
Right.
Is
so
that correct?
they're basically the president and Jack both had all of these secrets, and they both were going to have to pay for them. And the president said, Jack go ahead, start running because we're going to come after you. And I'm going to give you a head start.
But she gave him a head start.
So I don't
And
know
that's
whether
what
it's the
Chloe
Russians
knows.
or the Americans, because Chloe was the only one on the phone call other than the president, you know?
Gotcha.
So they have him on the big screen at CTU,
Wow.
and he's saying goodbye to Chloe. So everybody knew that she knew what was going on there.
It could be. So it's still unclear who would be targeting her. It could be the Russians, could be other Americans, could be people trying to protect, you know.
Well, and
their
that's the
interests.
thing about the storyline is that the truck, it really could have just been a hit and run.
That's what I think it was, because I feel like she was just blaming herself and saying that it possibly could have been for her.
No, I don't think so. Especially
Really?
because of the hour, the fact that there's only one witness. It's too convenient, I think, for it to have just been a hit and run. I definitely think
We
it's
can talk
them.
about it more predictions, but I'm 100% with Roxy on this. I think it's a foreshadowing for a storyline later.
But
But
what
this
I-
moment after she talks about this, I want to talk about this moment with her and Jack. Jack goes straight up into caring mode. Like you forget he's Jack Bauer for a second. Hugs her. Yeah, you were like, oh my gosh. And then he says something, and I want to read this quote.
I wrote it down too. So
You can't bring back the ones you lost. I'm gonna start over. You can't bring back the ones you lost. Trust me. But you can honor their lives by helping others. It's the only way forward. I want to write that and put it on my wall.
I
That's
heard
so
it.
good.
Yeah.
So good.
It's beautiful. It's beautifully done. And
Yes.
We rewound.
I'm gonna
yeah, we
tattoo
were
it
to write it
somewhere.
down.
And even the way that Kiefer delivered that line, like it was very telling. I think that was a little bit of a turning point in Jack's character, and it helped us. Even though we know Jack Bauer, obviously we know Jack Bauer.
Yeah.
But it just, even for me, gave me a little more of an anchor into who he is as a
But
character.
that's his intention. That's his vision to move forward to help other people. Which is interesting too, because we don't know what he's done in the past 4 years,
Right.
but chances are he has been helping. Maybe not to this degree.
It's a good reminder for
but
us.
it's a good reminder.
Okay, and he wanted to help her. He cares about her. However, he also knows we need to get over this, and I need to do my best to help bring her back to who can help me the
Well,
most.
let's not overlook the one major thing here that he now shares something in common with Chloe, because at the end of season 1, when he lost Terry, he felt very similar the same way. It shouldn't have been her. She shouldn't have died for this.
And also, before we were talking about foreshadowing, and I think this happens to do with Audrey, we're talking about the people that you've lost, you can't help. But he hasn't lost her yet. So I think that this is talking about maybe the people that are still around, you have to help those.
It could be foreshadowing. I actually was thinking about that too, but thinking that the term, you can't bring back the ones you've lost, can stand for people who've died, and also stand for people that you've just, for whatever decisions you've made, you've lost along the way. So I think that did even apply to Audrey and apply to just so many other times in 24, friends, colleagues that he's lost. So that's the way I looked at it. But it's still a very, very big moment, big scene, really good job by both actors, Keith Sutherland and Marilyn Rice-Cub. Beautifully done. And then after that, they pretty much go back to Adrian Cross's place to try and figure out their next move. Meanwhile, let's just talk a little bit also about Kate and Eric, because I'm really loving the Kate character, and she definitely did some really, really cool things to try and hunt down Jack in this episode, in particular with Basher. Well, first on that other thug trying to convince him to speak up about Jack, otherwise he was gonna his laceration was gonna keep swelling.
Which who knows if that was true or not, but
Who knows,
brilliant.
but it sounded great. I loved it.
Good line.
It sounded believable. I believed it.
Me too.
And then we talked last week. I mentioned last week that I really feel that Kate is like another Bauer. She's like a mini Bauer. And she definitely showed some Bauer moments.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm a little worried. So I'm retracting my prediction from last week about Eric Ritter potentially being our mole. And I'm wondering if there's any way that Kate could not be good here. Because
Heck no.
I don't know. I'm getting a little nervous about it, because when Eric calls her out and says, how'd you miss this? How did you miss this? It could just be that she was so in love and in so deep that she doesn't even know, or maybe she didn't miss it. I'm getting nervous.
I kind of feel like that's like a massive breadcrumb that they laid there in that conversation as well, and I kind of agree.
No.
I wasn't thinking that way, but to be honest, now that you bring it up, that is a really, really interesting point, because he
Absolutely
said,
not.
He said, "You're sharp. Why weren't you sharp about your husband?"
Right.
Yeah, he gave her 3 compliments, and he said that. I think she had a moment, and I think she listened, like she heard what he said, and she thought about it, and it was like she removed herself from the situation for a second. It was just like, I could not see it. I'm even thinking about it now. There's no way.
Okay,
Absolutely
but also
not.
she's like a really reckless, ruthless character. Like
She's not reckless. She's calculated.
Calculated, yes. But I mean, like driving to the.
She might be a little loose in the turns, like when she hit him and she said, no, he stays, and things like that. But that was for a greater good. I think it was calculated because she knows there's a prize which is Jack, which is more important.
I just wonder if she does have something to hide, if she values her life a little bit less because she like has to cover something up. So she's like, if she gets killed by these like English gangsters, it's gonna be okay.
I don't know. That's deep.
I'm not sure because I've been in situations before that if somebody else had been in them, I would look at them and say, how did you not get that? You know, but sometimes you are just in so deep. So I'm not positive.
Yeah.
I just think that it's possible.
Okay, all right, well, fair enough. But I will say that I loved, you know, for a second I thought she was going to get all Bauer on Basher when she knocks him unconscious and is going to bring him back to the CIA. It would seem like it. But I just thought, you know, instead of doing these really extreme interrogation tactics that Bauer does, I thought it was a really ingenious plan.
Oh, that's very ingenious.
Yeah, she did some research on him and found another
Tamil
gang.
boys.
Yeah, another gang that just didn't get along with him. And
Didn't you think it was so weird that when they drive over to these guys, none of them have guns and none of them start shooting? I just figured gangs, if somebody rolled up in a black car and sat there and then
it's
started
England.
rolling
they
down.
do things with tea and I don't know. I'm just
Crowbars and
crowbars
things.
and tea.
Leather jackets.
Perhaps. I just figured some gunshots were going to go off. Something was going to go wrong with this plan. It was going to backfire.
There's nowhere to
somehow.
hide a gun in skinny jeans.
It's a very valid point.
It was a very
In their
dramatic
hair.
moment. It was a very dramatic moment, so I believe they were just drawing it out a little bit. But still really, really well done. I really like that scene. So, you know, before we continue, let me just bring up iTunes. So those of you who have subscribed to us, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We mentioned, you know, we love the fact that we're rated pretty high. And, you know, we want to do a really good job for you guys, and we want to bring some good guests. So the best way to do that, you can definitely comment and rate on iTunes for us. And like I said, we've seen a lot of stuff already. We'll do some shout outs. I had everything set up, but not anymore.
Well, while you're looking for them, I just want to quickly mention I was reading all the iTunes comments, and I saw that somebody commented that they were disappointed last week that we didn't mention that scene with Jack where he says that, you know, I bet you guys think I'm at a disadvantage right now, but I promise you that I'm not.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to shout that out because it was an amazing scene and it was deserving of
But
a
I
mention.
promise you I'm not.
I promise
That
you.
was
Yeah.
awesome.
It
I remember
was
thinking
awesome.
like, ugh, yeah, Jack.
I was like, you don't know Jack.
last
What
week
was
was a
the
little
quote?
different.
He goes up to the people and he's.
You might think I'm
they're-
outnumbered, but I'm
Yeah.
not.
But I promise you I'm not.
But I promise you
I'm
I'm
not.
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a great memory.
So that was actually, I believe, that was by Lang 2012. So, and you know, we mentioned a lot about the you know, past seasons. We talked a little bit. It was kind of our intro and going into the first two episodes. So, you know, we're not going to do that. Obviously, we're getting right into it right now. So I don't want to take too much time. But hopefully, you'll give us more stars for that because he gave us not as many stars. D Hoyt 47, Harry 2455, Chocolate Thunder, The Known Mystery, and Rogue 9A. They all rated us. So okay, so you're laughing for whatever reason. And on YouTube, thank you to Siobhan92, Michael B, CC3, Dave 1555, Danielle Joyner, Nate Puderbog. I'm
Man,
saying
this is like
it
a
right?
tongue twister. You are killing it right now.
Yeah.
Rick Ya. I'm saying that one wrong. Rick Ya. I don't know. Joseph Ortiz, Robert Zellin, Super Taco Show. No, Super.
Best name award goes to
Super
Super Taco Show.
Supero Taco
Totally.
Show. Taco
Either way,
Show.
it's awesome.
Yep.
There's a
Andrew
taco in it.
Davis, One No One Regrets, Boyd Lesher.
That was me.
The artist, the artist formerly known as My Call C205.
Fair.
Anthony Cancellieri, Boyd Leshner, Joseph Bosa.
Joseph.
Also,
There
my
you go.
mom, the Academy, Harvey Weinstein.
Sorry, I
all
just
the
want to do
big
shout outs. No,
players.
just so you know, we read every single one of them as you mentioned. Also, somebody mentioned, why don't we do a little recap, like saying exactly what happened in the episode, like for the first minute. And we taped this show like right after the show airs. So, you know, that sounds like really cool, but we wouldn't be able to do that. So hopefully you're watching the show right before as well. So
Don't
you
give
don't
our
need a
secrets
recap.
because we don't want to. Don't tell us how to do our jobs.
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you so much. I just wanted to give you guys shouts out because
Can we
again,
talk about President Heller?
yes. We're going to talk about President Heller. We're going to talk about Mark and Audrey. Let's talk about
That
them.
storyline really makes me uncomfortable.
Which
So,
part?
Okay, so Danny, is that his character's name? Is that your name?
Danny's
my
his
name.
name.
Audrey's
James
husband,
Heller.
James
Mark
Mark?
Berger.
Mark rhymes Danny.
Does he
Mark,
look like Danny to you?
Yeah, they're white.
Okay.
All white people look alike.
The chief of staff, Mark Berger.
Mark signing the presidential order.
Yeah.
Is that like realistic that he could get away with that?
I don't think he's
No.
going to get away with it. So I think that's more, in my opinion, that's
You
a prediction.
had a great prediction though. Sell it. What you told me while
Well,
watching it.
I think that he's not going to get away with it at first, but originally he's going to say that this was his signature. The president's going to say, no, it wasn't. And then Mark's going to come out with the fact that he has some sort of brain disease, and everybody's going to think that the president actually signed and just doesn't remember.
Excellent prediction.
That's brilliant.
Thank you. I'll take it. But I'm actually just kind of bothered at this point that they just keep referring it to as the disease or the compromised state. Come on, guys. All right, we're 3 hours in. I got to know what's going on.
Let's throw this out there. Maybe it's something completely different. And the reason they're calling it the disease is because it's something we know nothing about or is bigger than we think or far more minuscule than we think.
This takes place in the near future, so it could be some disease they decided to come up with that
Very true.
Like, you don't think they'll ever know?
2015.
You don't think they'll give it a name at any point?
Well, maybe they'll give it a name. Don't forget also that this isn't the first time that a president has been attacked by some kind of warfare, biological warfare. So maybe it's something that's going to be led on to that. Who knows? They're trying to keep it open. No, but they're trying to keep it open, I think. I mean, the obvious choice would be Alzheimer's or Parkinson's. Those seem to be...
Some form of dementia.
I mean, he's not... Yeah, I'm not a doctor, but I would assume my first gut would say Alzheimer's.
Yeah, and I think most people would agree with you, but that could be... It could be nothing, but it also could be intentional. And I'm kind of curious to see, but I think that's a great prediction on your part that it could, that's what's going to happen is he's going to blame it on that you don't remember that you said.
But what I'm starting to hate Mark.
Yeah, I was going to say, is Mark a good guy or a bad? I'm guessing he's a bad guy because he seems to be doing everything so far.
Good guy gone wrong.
Yeah, he's like the bad guy with good intentions.
As we've seen 24 do before, this could be one of those things where they want you to kind of not really like him, and then you love him because he does something very heroic. And
well, because he loves Audrey so much and he took care of her for all these years, and maybe he does something at the end of the day to save her again.
Yeah, but he's like the helicopter mom. Like, yeah, you love your kid, but like let him play.
I don't know. I think deep down his intentions are good. I think he's making small decisions along the way that are questionable because he wants to get to the goal of really protecting the president. However, that's what Jack Bauer does all the time, and we love Jack Bauer.
But forging the president's signature is not a Jack Bauer move.
Jack Bauer would have 100%, if that's what it took, to prevent these drones from attacking London, he would forge the president's signature.
His thing is always saying,
that's
but
his
I
thing,
take
but I'm saying
direction
he
from the
would.
president.
But Jack does it to save the country. Mark is doing it because
To
like
save
that's
the
what
country.
he thinks
He's
is
saving
best.
But you know what? No,
it's to give
Roxy brings a
Bauer.
good point because whenever he needs the president's permission, he never just lies and says he has it. He always calls
That's
the
true.
president.
It's like the ultimate.
Yeah, that's his ultimate moral code.
He does sometimes go against the president, but only if the president is somebody who is
But
lying
even if he
to
does,
the
he'll tell the president.
Right.
He'll like tell the president.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, I had to because blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
But
I just couldn't afford the risk of blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
But when he signed the president of the United States' name, I was like, oh no, she didn't.
Yeah.
He signed it kind of easy too. Like
I
he's done
know.
that before. It was very good. They zoomed in on it to give us that shot of like that was easy for him.
That was the weirdest part to me was how quickly he made that decision.
Yeah.
You know, all of a sudden it's just sitting there. And he's like, cake.
You know what I found interesting? It's like first he's keeping a secret from both of them. He's keeping them secret. He's keeping Jack Bauer's secret from both of them. Then Audrey walks in and he has this little, powwow with her where he's like, I want you to do me this favor. So he's kind of like keeping a secret from the president by making Audrey do all the dirty work. And then next thing you know, he decides to sign off on it's like he's just full of so many little hidden secrets and agendas. But I think all of them, I think I agree with you, Danny, that all of them they're for the greater good. They're for kind of his greater good, but they all are with the best intentions. He's just very questionable at what he does.
Do you think? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Is any part of this potentially that he's nervous about Jack's relationship with Audrey and that they could rekindle something, so he's trying to keep Jack
He
away?
mentioned that last week. He mentioned that he doesn't want her to hear his name ever again.
Right, but because he's nervous they might rekindle, or because he's nervous it might send her into some sort of downward spiral?
I don't know.
I don't know if he thinks they're going to rekindle, but I think he's definitely going to be a massive wrench in their relationship. We found out that tonight is not going as well as they'd like.
And I think his relationship with her also affects his relationship with the president because, we saw just now, he can use Audrey to help him get his agenda with the president.
Yeah. And if you notice, the president said, Audrey, go tell your husband, so he still thinks of this as Audrey's husband.
Yeah. Well, he even said when she walked up, he said, I was waiting for you to already come in, to try and talk me out of this.
Right. But so what do we think's going on in their relationship? So they're husband and wife, and we find out tonight, Audrey's like, oh, things are great.
That was a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Absolutely. And then later on, she says, you're so controlling. You're always trying to make decisions for other people that aren't yours to make. That's referring to things that we clearly don't know about so far.
Right.
What's going on there? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think that he's like the right-hand man to the president, and he's got a massive head and like delusions of grandeur, and so he like carries that with him everywhere.
Okay.
I think we see that from the chief of staff a lot. I mean, the chief of staff is a very powerful position. We've seen that in past seasons of 24. There are other shows like Scandal where the chief of staff, Cyrus, is a very
manipulative.
Very manipulative, very big character. So I think it's just almost a stereotypical trait.
Yeah,
for the chief of staff. I kind of believe that. So and again, you know, even like in Scandal, Cyrus is a perfect example. He does things for the greater good in the end, but he definitely wants to protect the president, protect himself, make sure the president's always reelected and he's in power as well.
Yeah.
Right. Right now,
Yeah.
it's very hard to take sides right now because I don't know whether the president's condition is so bad that he shouldn't be where he is. So I don't know whether I'm on his team. But, you know, he says tonight, having enemies means you stood up for something, is Churchill quote. And I'm like, ooh, go Team Heller. And then I'm realizing, oh gosh, he could completely be in this state, and I'm giving him too much credit.
Well, he could name the wrong president again, the wrong Roosevelt,
or the wrong amount of people who died.
Here's one thing I wanted to see tonight that we didn't see, and I was a little frustrated about when President Heller was standing there and they started shouting at him in the room. I thought this was a great chance for us to see if he is on his game enough as president to stay president.
I agree.
But we just don't know now.
And we didn't see either.
Right.
It didn't go either way. It didn't give me either way.
And now it's been too much time, so it's not like we could see it.
It's not like we could see it in the next
we
episode.
could see the aftermath, I guess.
I thought that was very improper.
It's very improper, those people. You're right.
That's kind of how their parliament works, so it's lots of shouting.
Oh, really?
If
Okay.
you've seen other videos of it, like in live action.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I'm completely with you on that. I was bummed because I thought this was a great place for them to make a statement, and they could show us either he can do this, or right now he can, and then later on he deteriorates, or he clearly cannot handle this.
I really wanted to know.
Yeah.
And you can assume that nothing gets resolved as far as that's concerned, because I'm sure once the riot started, they probably we didn't get to see that, but I'm sure they just stopped everything from going on in Parliament.
I was really mad too because he's a seasoned politician. He's had that happen before, you have to assume. And when you are getting heckled, you don't just continue with your speech and try to talk over them. You address them.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't show him. It didn't show him continuing or addressing them. It just cut off.
Well, he continued after the first one, and then the
then
second
stopped.
person commented.
Yeah.
and
I guess
then
that's true.
And then it cut to
So we didn't see
the
either.
outside.
And I really wanted to see like what he was going to do there.
I feel that we will definitely see, I mean, this is maybe a prediction, but we'll see a defining moment for President Heller that proves how presidential he
I don't
really
know
is.
if it's going to come in hour 4, though. I think they might drag it out a little bit longer.
They probably will drag it out a little bit, but I definitely see him. I mean, he like you said, he says all the right things, even if he messes up a fact or two. I almost feel like, you know, Audrey made a great point. She feels like he's kind of berating him a little bit and downplaying him, but he still, for all intents and purposes, seems to at least have that presidential air about him, James Heller. The other thing I want to mention about the B story, I suppose, is the fact that I can't remember his officer title, but Tanner is coming over to the U.S. Embassy to be handed off to the British. So, which is obviously a big deal,
Right, and Kate finds out that Tanner it's a name that's now in the mix.
It's in the mix,
and she doesn't know what that means or if what had to do with the drones.
And she
or
was
if he's
about to
innocent.
find out.
Right.
she's on her way to finding out. But Tanner's definitely going in, and the protesters have tripled in size since the announcement about the drone attack.
They got a lot of
drone fire.
extras for that scene.
They got a lot of extras. A lot of English extras are there for that. So yeah, so I love John Boyega. By the way, somebody posted in one of the comments, but I think it was just announced this week, he's actually in the cast for the new Star Wars movie. So John Boyega,
I did see that comment. Yeah.
So you know, maybe that's for news and gossip, but that's definitely my man, John Boyega. I think he's just awesome. So anyway, so let's move from them. Let's move over to Simone and Margot. Let's talk a little bit more about them, because we get to see when Simone finally escapes Bauer. He runs over, and Margot has his classic supervillain hobby of gardening. When Simone comes up to
She's a woman.
No, I've seen other gardeners do that too, or other villains do that too.
Like in Dexter, the woman who got.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can picture it.
Yvonne Strahovski. Yeah, exactly.
She's oh yeah.
Yeah, coincidentally.
That's funny. She's scary. She scares me. When we
Margot
finally
scares the mess out of me.
She completely scares me when she's on screen. I think that she's gonna take a needle and stab somebody's eye out.
I
mean,
agree.
I thought she was going to kill Simone on the bed for a second. I was like,
I thought she was gonna damage her leg permanently. Like, take the
or she was gonna like tie it up and be like, "How does that feel?"
Another scene you jumped up. I mean, the stitches were
Okay, that was a terrifying scene.
That wasn't up close.
Because excuse me, I'm just so excited. I'm throwing my mic everywhere. Margot is a crazy, unpredictable character. She has joined the like a Middle Eastern terrorist group, and is that correct?
No, yeah, I was just gonna say to
it
give
was
background.
Al-Qaeda. She married a Al-Qaeda commander.
So she had a husband, and her husband died.
He died.
And it was the father of her children. She has another husband who was part of Al Qaeda who was killed 3 years ago, and that's who you're referring to now.
Yeah. So she
Muhammad.
Yeah, we just don't. She's so unpredictable, and she's terrifying. So when she was sewing up her daughter's leg and like interrogating her, it was just like this like terrifying dynamic that I'd never seen on TV before.
Right, and accusing her of making mistakes, you know.
Yeah.
And then the conversation she has with Naveed.
It was like back to back. We see her as this controlling person of power who nobody's gonna mess with.
But also, like, I feel like she's gonna kill somebody. Maybe her child, maybe Naveed.
Oh
It's
yeah, at some point.
Naveed.
Well,
Naveed
she's
is
willing-
so
She's
do
plotting
whatever
to
it
kill
takes.
lots of people.
You just can't kill everybody in your circle, though, Margot.
Well, she hasn't
Don't
killed
you
anybody.
know?
She hasn't killed anybody yet. It's just a prediction.
Not yet.
So
And she hasn't. It doesn't seem like she's ready to kill Naveed yet.
right.
Well, no, but I'm wondering if this video camera, do we think it has sound? Because if she just heard what Naveed said, that he's feeling hesitant about all of this, he's dead.
Well, and
agree.
also she did say, if my mother catches you drinking, if she's got a camera over the bed, she's got a camera in the bedroom, and she's seeing him pull that whatever flask, whatever, out
What's
of
the
the
deal
towel
with that?
cabinet.
She's just a control freak. Like, what? Was he an ex-alcoholic?
Is
or
it a
she-
religion?
I thought it was
a
a
religious thing?
I could be very wrong. I thought it was something in the Muslim religion.
about
Not drinking.
not drinking.
Did I make that up?
I don't know.
I'm not
possible.
sure.
Well,
if
she-
you guys know at home, please let us know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she is.
I'll go back to the Quran.
She is since she's Al Qaeda. She must be Muslim. So I'm sure there must be something there.
Oh, I like studied in college. I don't have one. I thought I was making a joke.
No, you're good.
Actually, I was very disappointed that Margot is part of Al Qaeda because I said last episode, "Oh, I'm so happy we're like getting over Middle Eastern like
I know.
terrorists," and yet here it is.
Well, she still has. I mean, obviously, the attack that she's doing is on England, and she's English. So I think it's. I think it's slightly.
Different.
Yeah, slightly different, but it's from a Middle Eastern sect. I
Yeah.
guess the Middle Eastern terrorist.
But it's also
group.
relative, because if it was just British, it wouldn't feel relative to like what is going on today. So there's got to be a tie, because then it feels like it's loosely based on what's really happening in the world, which I appreciate.
But I do
Capitalizing
love.
on our fears. I'm sorry, like
No, go
drones.
Yeah.
There was a news article this weekend that a drone flew like over a plane, like over the wing of a plane.
Oh,
And
really?
that's terrifying close, a commercial airliner.
No,
So, like
well-
drones are in the news every day.
They do a good job of really picking topics. 24 has always done a good job of picking topics that are very relevant and could provide some fear if you really think about it.
It had a black president.
Yeah, well, and they foresee certain things too. I do love the backstory they give. We mentioned it pretty much, but the backstory they gave Margot. They called her the Yorkshire widow. I guess because of what happened to the first husband. But I think the most important motivation that they had was the attack that killed her second husband, Margot Al-Harazi, was implemented by President Heller.
Right.
So that adds a little extra personal vengeance on, the assassination rumor that Jack said was possibly going to happen from the first season, from the first episode. So, and again, she's willing to do whatever it takes. She's willing to sleep, even though they're Muslim. They're willing to sleep with other men to, to spy on, to get information, to further their cause. She talks to Naveed about it being okay for Simone to be deep and undercover, even if it means she has to sleep with another man. And those creepy cameras, that creepy camera over the bed,
Yeah.
Super creepy.
Some people have mirrors on top of their bed. She has a camera on top of her daughter's bed.
She says we're fighting a war. All that matters is winning, and I believe her that that's what she thinks. When a character straight up tells you what the only thing that matters to them, you have to believe the absolute worst, which is that she doesn't care about anyone or anything else as much as she cares about winning this war.
Yeah, and that's a great villain for this series, for this part of the series at least. And also we got to see a little bit about their plan too. We saw some video screens with the targeting already set up for the drones. Once they get it activated, they're going to have to wait at least an hour to confirm the system, since I guess Derek Yates is using an outdated system.
Yeah, an outdated, or it doesn't match or loop in right. Yeah,
But they had
Do
pretty
it in
much, they're
less.
targeting Buckingham Palace, 10 Downing Street, Charing Cross Station station, which we were at for the whole Simone chase, Liverpool Street Station. So all these very like public places and House of Parliament. So very
Relative.
prestigious relative places over in England that could be under attack if Margot has her way. So
So what if all of these places? I mean, are we going to have multiple drone? I don't even know how
Pretty
that
much.
works.
Didn't they say it was capable of 10 Hellfire
I think
missiles?
six missiles.
Six missiles,
Okay.
and I counted 6 locations. So apparently,
okay.
they just need one drone with 6 Hellfire missiles, and London's not that big a place.
It made me think of in Iron Man when they have
a good noise.
that one,
Yeah, that's really
whatever
good.
that, whatever
like
that
that.
thing, It was called Hellfire also, wasn't it?
It sounds like
Tony Stark's thing
Yeah.
that was like went up and was just
I
like.
don't know.
It might have been Hellfire.
Anyways,
Now you're
that's
just
what it made me
bragging with
think
that
of.
noise.
Now
I
you're
can't
Maybe
do
like
bragging
a
with-
guest star.
it was.
Wasn't it like? I'm sorry.
playing the part of
It's
sound
fun.
effects for this show is Danny Hoyt. But yeah, so really good stuff. Can't wait to see some more with all of them, with Margot and Simone. And I really think, well, we'll save it for predictions. But Naveed, poor Naveed.
Oh, Naveed.
Oh, poor
We'll see.
Naveed.
Or
We'll
if
see.
Naveed doesn't get killed, he could also be like a great informant for Kate or Bauer.
Oh, it could be possible.
And then
He
get
can-
killed.
Or
And
he
then
could
get
be a
killed.
mole.
He will not make it to the finale.
Maybe that's why he's drinking so heavily because he's got so much on his mind.
Yeah.
So
He didn't really seem to care much about the fact that his wife was sleeping with other people. He goes, "That's not what's
That's
bothering
not
me."
what's
Well,
bothering
that's
me.
like
That
such
was
like a
foreshadowing.
classic like biblical like Old Testament thing. Like I believe they have Abraham and like the Muslim religion, and he would do that with his wife Sarah all the time, like send her out.
Oh, really?
really,
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but that's weird. But I still think, yeah, if someone's drinking, you figure it's because their wife's sleeping with somebody else
Yeah,
for
he
whatever
kind of
reason.
gave a foreshadowing there.
But he's having nightmares about people dying. So yeah, I would think if I was a terrorist in that group, I would be a little bit nervous about Naveed right now.
Right. What do we think about the
Second
brother? Wild card, totally dedicated.
I don't
to
feel like I
cause?
got a good read on him
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
Other than he's smart and he knows what he's doing. I will say this: his setup was phenomenal.
Yeah.
His little lair, and then the thing that I noticed is his thinking chair. Every man needs a good thinking chair.
Oh.
His chair.
Not women though.
They
We
didn't-
don't need thinking chairs.
Exactly.
I
We
don't
can
know
think on
if
our
you guys
feet.
even care about that. I've never met a woman that's cared to have a thinking chair as
What was his?
super elaborate. It was like a throne. Go back and look at it. If anybody else noticed this, his chair was like legit.
Do you guys
It
have
was
a thinking
amazing.
chair?
No,
I have a thinking chair.
I thought
I've had the same thinking
was
chair
toilet,
for
actually.
I've had the same thinking chair for 10 years now.
I'm a thinking floor girl.
I used to
can't
have
believe
one.
Okay.
I'm in the market for one.
Oh god,
Ooh.
good thinking chair.
Can you recommend for him? No.
I found one that I loved. The one this is stupid, but the one that I loved the most was in Africa, and I couldn't buy it and ship it back because it cost like $400. So I didn't do it. I will go back and get it one day.
I
though.
need a thinking chair now. I've been
Yep.
using the toilet all
Mark
this
your
time.
words.
Like,
All
apparently that's
right.
wrong.
Next up.
I think a lot of people do that.
That's true.
Yeah. So
That's plan B.
anyway, so this episode, pretty much all roads are leading to the U.S. Embassy. So that's where the trail goes. That's where President Heller is about to make his big speech. That's where Jack feels he needs to go since he could not get the suitcase
That's where
from
Kate's
Simone.
on her way to.
Kate's on her way to talk to Tanner because she feels that's the connection right there. So all roads are leading there. And what we didn't really get to talk about, but now's a perfect time to talk about, before Jack goes to the embassy, he runs back over to Adrian's lair, to Mr. WikiLeaks, Snowden himself, and he convinces Adrian to help him. We believe at the time.
Adrian's a bully.
And
He is the biggest bully on the
Adrian's
show.
line back was awesome. Has anyone ever mentioned your rather rude habit of asking for favors accompanied by a gun?
Yes,
Yeah, it's
I love that.
That's so Jack Bauer. That's telling of Jack Bauer. I love that.
We've never really seen Jack need to use please before. And
But
now,
he did say Mr. Cross. He
Yeah.
kind of like
Yes.
he came underneath his authority. Was like Mr. Cross.
Well, after
Yeah.
he got
Yes.
that little talking down to, he realized,
Mr.
okay,
Cross.
maybe I should try a different tactic
But
with this guy.
I was liking him because I thought that he was just holding his own ground and whatever. But now I think he's a bully and he's hurting Jack, and I hate him.
Well, yeah, he gave
Yeah.
he gave
And that
the
was my
wrong
wine
cl-
for the night.
He gave that was your wine for the night.
Yeah, it was my whiny voice, but I'm serious. Anybody who's not a fan of Jack's is not somebody I'm
Well,
a fan of.
when Jack
Adrian-
finds out he put in the wrong code, Jack is
he's screwed.
Adrian's done.
If Jack has a chance to get back there because the way things are going, it's
We
like
might
he's all
never
over the
see
place.
Adrian, but if Jack finds that out and they play Adrian back into this, Adrian's done.
Why do you think he did that?
I think he's done with Jack. He doesn't want to see him
Because
anymore.
Jack has took Chloe out of Adrian's whatever their little organization is called. What was it called again?
I don't remember.
I can't
But
remember
Jack
right now.
took Chloe away from it. He's kind of breaking it up. He killed Yates. Like he's kind of barring his whole thing there.
So it's all ego. That's what you're saying.
Yeah,
It's all
I think
ego.
Adrian is
I
a
don't know
100%
this
ego guy.
Ego, but Adrian and his like married band, they're typing and they're hacking and doing what they believe is like the public good, and Jack is disrupting that.
It's kind of too hands-on for them. They like to just release information and then let the public do what they
Yeah.
want with it, not make plans and make decisions for everybody else. Question about, we see the girl that is actually changes the code. She doesn't want to. Her
Yeah.
name is Shell, I believe, Chell.
Okay.
And anyway, she is what? What do we think? You know, she seemed hesitant about this. Does she end up being Team Jack? Does she go to
She's
Chloe?
Team Jack. She's
Team
gonna be
Jack.
like Chloe's little partner in crime. I think she's gonna come out and her and Chloe will be like a tag team.
I don't know. I think now
agree.
that Chloe noticed that Adrian double crossed, I think Chloe's just going to go on her own. She has the equipment. We've seen
And I
her
think
ready
that
to
girl
do on her
comes.
own.
I think that girl comes with.
You think she
Yep.
joins her?
Yep.
Okay.
I think you could see it in her eyes.
All right.
Yeah,
Interesting.
she kind of had the raised eyebrows. Like, I don't want this to happen.
No, so Chloe has the lowered eyebrows. She has
And
the
Shell's got like the.
I don't know, because
Wanna come back.
Adrian has his own agenda and his own, you know, he's the WikiLeaks guy, so he's probably a charismatic leader anyway. He's just more pissed off, like I said, ego, that Jack Bauer comes in and just like, you know, takes over his operation.
he doesn't want a boss. That's why he works like that too.
Yeah, probably.
And he doesn't know Jack the way that Chloe does, so he doesn't trust him.
Right.
But anyways, we gotta cut this a little bit short soon.
do
So
it.
let's go to what Jack actually goes to security and finds out he's going to be flagged. He walks off. We talked a little bit about him dropping the bag that was part of his cover.
Yeah.
And he ends up just knocking out this police officer, taking his gun.
Putting it under his coat, taking
One
off his
thing to say, when he
jacket,
drops the bag, if the documents that he needed to get into the embassy to get to President Heller are in that bag, he either took them out and put them in his pocket, or there's some other plan, because once he gets in the embassy, he's
don't
got
think
to
no,
have
no,
it.
The documents
though.
were a ploy.
It was
No,
a
I thought
ploy.
the documents were to prove to President
No,
Heller that the drones
screen
exist.
grab that the drones exist.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
Chloe found a screen grab from Yates's computer
Right.
that the drones exist.
Remember,
So
he said that he needed.
That's the
he
only
needed
proof they could
Either
get.
he took it or he's just improvising and he figures he can
I think
still
it's in his
convince
pocket.
him. Oh, it might be in his
I
pocket.
think it was in the
It's gotta
bag,
be.
and he's gonna
'Cause he
just go
wouldn't
there
drop
on
the
a
bag.
whim.
He could
Yeah.
pull it up on his phone.
They could pull it up on his phone probably.
Secondly,
Yeah.
can we talk about the precision of Jack Bauer? You got a gun under your jacket. You're running, not looking. It's under jacket, and you
Yeah.
precisely shoot people in the legs where it's not going to hurt them.
Not only that, but he shot two innocents.
Not gonna hurt
Put it in the
them.
leg. It's not really going to hurt them.
I was a little surprised. I mean, I know he's willing to do whatever it takes, but I don't think I've ever seen him shoot innocents like that. So
I was thinking maybe at
Oh
the
no,
ground.
he shot what's his name in the knee, didn't he? Or stab him in the thing?
Well, he
Some
made
of his
Oh,
wife.
He made Chloe shoot him innocently in the shoulder.
That's
so
true.
That's it. I
Yeah,
guess
he
that's
went
true.
like,
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But,
so,
I think that this scene, though, sorry to cut you off, was so like thrilling to watch, because now this is the first season. It takes place in London, a foreign country, and like it's just such a heightened experience.
there was mass chaos. Everybody
Yeah.
just like cattle started
and
running,
Kate and Eric are experiencing this because they don't have complete control.
and she spots him.
Yeah.
And she says, "Bauer," and he turns around. I'm like, "Bauer, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Keep going."
He's the only one. She's the only one that knows his name. So of course, he's gonna turn around.
Yeah, and like he's not just like killing a couple people in America, which would be bad, but it's like in England, which could start. Like,
But he didn't kill him. He just shot him in the leg. He just
should've,
wounded
yeah.
him enough that it causes panic in
But
the
that
crowd.
could cause like foreign affairs problems.
Yeah, but they didn't know he did it. That's why he did it under the jacket.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and he gets to sneak. He gets to sneak through, and he gets inside. And as the trailer for next week said, it was
Difficult getting in.
but it's close to a miracle to get out. So
Impossible, yeah.
it's going to be very, very interesting to
That's a
see.
good teaser.
And what I loved about next week's episode, at least the clips, it seemed very classic. 24. It kind of reminded me of many other ones where it's like this 1 hour. It's his mission to get to Heller and get the hell out of there. And we saw him talking to Tanner and some other stuff too. So
Equally as
saw
big of a
Audrey.
teaser, we see Audrey learn that Jack Bauer exists.
yes, and that's the
And that
biggest
could
one.
be editing, but I don't think so. I think she actually learns it next week.
And also President Heller, I believe, learns
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So
Since
huge.
we are talking about stuff that's happening according to the trailer for next week, we should go on to predictions.
Heck yeah.
Now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Okay, so what do we have so far? Who wants to go first? I'm just going to leave it open.
Go ahead,
All
Roxy.
right,
Ladies
Roxy, ladies first.
We see Jack talking to Tanner. Obviously, we can assume that he's trying to get him out. That's the whole plan. I already predicted this thing is gonna about the signature unfortunately, people are going to follow it until they figure out that the signature was forged.
I love that.
That's my prediction.
Okay. Danny, what do you got?
I had a prediction earlier that I cannot remember right now. It was my big prediction. I said it earlier. I'm
Okay, while you're thinking,
yeah.
I don't know if it'll happen in episode 4 next week, but I foresee a moment where Kate finally catches Jack Bauer, and it's just like the two of them one-on-one. And she's like, I'm bringing you back. I've got you as a trophy. And he's like, listen, this needs to happen because they're going to kill President Heller. And they either team up or she says, okay, fine, go.
You think she turns into Team Jack?
Yeah, and I don't know if maybe they'll team up, but I think she'll like set him on his way to go like save the world.
Actually, I was gonna say I think they team up. I think this is the only way he can get out that miracle. He's gonna have to team up with somebody, so it makes the most sense for Kate to join him. And I think what Kate's gonna do is end up going rogue and getting away from Eddie, and she's gonna end up being an outlaw as well on the run as well.
2 predictions.
Chloe
Chloe
thing,
leaves.
yeah.
Shell comes with Chloe. Chloe leaves. Adrian, and Adrian's either killed or whatever, and he's not going to be a factor in the rest of the season, in my opinion. And second prediction is Naveed is a mole.
No, yeah, that might be true, but the Chloe prediction you had was about her kids and it actually being
Yeah, no, I do think that's going to be, but that's later. I think that'll be like episode 6 or 7.
Okay. Do you think Naveed's a mole next episode?
Not next episode, but I think that's coming, and that's why we saw him drinking. That's why he played into this episode.
A mole or gets turned.
Either one. I think Naveed is a wild card we are worried about.
I think he's dying. I honestly think he's dying.
Turned then dying.
Yeah, turned and dying. There you go.
Man.
Anyway,
Turned down for what? For death.
So Roxy, where can we find you, Roxy, during the week? If we
You
wanted
can
to?
find me on Instagram and Twitter at Roxy Striar.
Awesome. And Danny, where can we find you?
On all the social medias at my name, Danny Hoyt.
Okay, great, Jeff.
And I tweet from Jeff Masters 1.
Beautiful. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Nandovel, Nandovel, and here on AfterBuzz for other shows as well as you three on various shows. Please tune in. Please check in on all our other shows. Otherwise, tune in next Monday, 10 o'clock Pacific for our next episode of 24, Live Another Day. Thank you.
Cheers, mates.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
Hi, Mom.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.